Hello and welcome to another episode of Recharge Wrestling. We are happy to be here because WWE is awesome at the moment. I'm here with my friends, Keeney and Fisher.
Hello, guys.
Hey, colleagues, but yeah, thanks.
Colleagues, that's it. Yeah.
It's good to have all three of us on at the moment because I think we're all excited to talk about it, which is great.
Yeah, we were missing Keeney last week, and we have a special guest in Casper the Ghost with us this week.
Yeah, my camera broke earlier, so that was a bit of a nuisance. But actually, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I apologise for my Pat McAfee gear again. It's 30 degrees still when we're recording this, so I'm rocking the vest tonight.
Yeah,
but before we get into this, please give us a like and subscribe on the YouTube. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please search us Recharge Wrestling. If you want to follow us on Twitter, where we post everything out, including other wrestling news, at Recharge Wrestle. Really encourages us if you get involved. So tonight we're going to go through WWE's recap and review, and we're going to start at the top with SmackDown, unless Fax Fisher has any specialist news.
No, I don't. I was just going to mention that obviously our AEW podcast, we were going to do an actual podcast, but we're not going to do that now tonight. So I will be back with a special video. I'll record tomorrow, so it'll probably go up on the same day as
Fisher carries AEW on his back. And,
I do.
He does.
It's quite light at the moment.
I'm doing what.
He's basically John Moxley.
I was going to say, who do I compare myself to? But yeah, I was going to say John Moxley's probably the appropriate person. Yeah. But I will have a full review of 3 AEW shows tomorrow because there was an extra one this week as well with Battle at the Belts happening at the weekend.
Look forward to a 2-hour solo Fisher special.
Yeah, it was. I tell you what, I watched it all. I think I watched all 3 shows this morning as well. It was a bit mad.
Let's hope no one from your work listens to this.
No, it was before. To be fair, 2 of them were before, because they're so short. 2 of them were before anyway. And
there is a massive plug there for Fisher's solo show. So I think we should be charging you advertising rights here.
And a little plug for Fisher's work as well. Got a nice little wench. Anyway, let's get in Fisher's work.
Fisher's work.
Right, so let's start with
SmackDown.
Let's get into SmackDown. We'll open the shopper, aren't we?
I'll tell you what though, I'm loving WWE in the moment, but I don't really know if I was that keen on how this started. All I saw was about 20 different angles of Corbin being low blowed. I found it funny for about 3, and then I was like, this is just going on a little bit too long now. I was like, as if it had gone a bit wrong.
It did, yeah, and it was it was weird. It was a weird way to start a show, but it was different. I mean, how often do you see? I'm just an advocate for everything they do. They can't really miss with it at the moment. And what we got out of this was a little backstage segment, and then it led to a Ricochet Happy Corbin match, which feels fairly fresh.
Yeah, fresh.
Yeah, it was a bit different.
Obviously wrestled before, haven't they? But it's a bit of a different match, and it was. Yeah, I mean, it's a good match. They match up quite well in ring, don't they? With Ricochet's style and Corbin's style as well. And obviously Ricochet got the win with his 450 splash. As Corbin kind of was still getting involved with McAfee on comms. So I don't know whether that's going to continue.
One thing I did mention about this, I noted down, was the fact that I was expecting this. I'm still in old WWE mode. I thought this was going to be a 2-minute match. But this went for what, 10 minutes? Maybe more? And it was actually really good. Yeah, both wrestlers showing off. So you mentioned commentary, but one thing that did make me laugh in the Pat McAfee video section, when he said, the millions, and then he got Michael Cole to say it, and he was like, millions. It made me laugh, and it really shows that Michael Cole's properly coming out of his shell now.
Oh yeah,
which I know a lot of people have mentioned that. We've mentioned that on the pod. He's actually really letting go now, isn't he? That he hasn't got Vince in his ear telling him what to do, and he's got Pat at his side. I think he's really enjoying his job, and it's showing in what he's saying, and I'm enjoying him as well.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, just a word on that match. Doesn't really say anything, but I agree. It was unusual to see a match like this go so long. Like, you're just used to these mid-card like matches going 5 minutes on SmackDown and ending in a DQ or roll-up, and it's nice to see wrestling taking over, particularly on SmackDown. On Raw, you used to get a lot of a 3-hour show. You need to fill it with wrestling. Like, they didn't have much choice But on SmackDown in particular, I've seen stats of how much. I remember mentioning it on the pod once. Like there was like 17 minutes on the whole show of wrestling once or something. I feel like we're getting 17-minute matches now. Like one match, you know, like a main event or an opener, and then you might get a couple of smaller matches in the middle, which is fine. But yeah, much more wrestling going on in the shows. And this match was really, really good. Good clash of styles, wasn't it?
Yeah, and if you like wrestling, then we got a lot of it in a big old gauntlet match to decide the number one contender for Clash at the Castle for Liv Morgan's belt. So WWE do this a lot, these gauntlet matches, but they always seem to deliver. And there's always someone who is a bit like the workhorse, as Fisher disappears. There is the workhorse of the match, who doesn't tend to win it though, and that was Raquel Gonzalez. Is it Rodriguez or Gonzalez? I can't remember.
Rodriguez now, isn't it?
Is it Rodriguez now? Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, I thought she was really good, and I don't know about you guys. When they announced who was in it, I thought, or I hoped, Shayna Baszler was going to win.
Yeah,
and that's what we got. So, what did you guys make of this gauntlet match?
I agree. I wanted Shayna to win out of the people, particularly out of the people announced. I had a funny feeling they were going to pull a surprise at the end, and Charlotte was going to come out unannounced and beat Shayna or something like that. That's what I thought was going to happen. I'm glad it didn't, because I thought that obviously Charlotte's been rumored to come back. She was rumored to come back for SummerSlam, didn't come back here, and I thought they're doing a women's gauntlet match. They're going to have all these people, and then they're just going to have Charlotte. And under Vince McMahon, that probably would have happened.
Yeah,
but Triple H is a big Shayna Baszler fan. We know that, her push in NXT, how she was booked there. So it actually made a lot of sense that Shayna won it, and I was glad she did. I think it was the gauntlet match wasn't that exciting. There were a couple of criticisms I had of it, which Shotzi was eliminated so fast when she came out, and she had a win last week against Aaliyah, and I thought, oh, maybe they're building her up a little bit, and then they just completely undone that by shitting all over her here, really. After Raquel had wrestled like 3 matches already, and then she beat her in seconds, and I was like, that's a bit silly. So there was a little bit about that. Like Xia Li was just complete afterthought as well. But I know you can't book everyone strong in a gauntlet match, but it did feel like it was only really Raquel and Shayna, which I know they're Triple H people.
Even Shayna, I wouldn't say. Look,
no, it was only a roll-up.
I'm a little bit more critical of this. I am a Shayna Baszler fan. My critique is Shayna Baszler has been losing a lot in like tag teams, hasn't looked great, hasn't been doing much, and then suddenly she comes out of nowhere and beats Raquel, who's been absolutely smashing everybody. I think this is the right decision. You also need someone for Liv to beat, which I think is important. Shayna's not. It's not really going to be damaging to her. I mean, it's a big spot for her, really, isn't it? The only thing is, she won by roll-up. I know you kind of try and protect Raquel by doing that.
Yeah, I didn't see the need because Raquel had won 4 matches.
I just think the she could have put her in a submission, and she could have been so tired that
passed out.
Nothing would have been taking anything away from her, and it makes Shayna look like a worthy opponent. Whereas I do agree with you. You could have had Aaliyah win by a roll-up. Anyone could have done. And as you say, the fact that certain people got beaten so quickly, I think they could have given it a little bit more time. But overall, yeah, I'm pleased that we're getting something fresh, and it's obvious that Triple H is coming through here, isn't he? So
one extra thing I think is cool about it is where the story could go from here as well, with Ronda Rousey being suspended. So Ronda being suspended, she's going to come back at some point, and obviously her relationship. We've been saying about her relationship with Shayna. They should have Ronda Shayna feud or have them team or something. Ronda could come back here and either like help Shayna or be pissed off with Shayna that she didn't stick up for her and demand she comes back and took her spot, essentially.
Took her spot, yeah. I think that's a good way of going about it.
I think we could set up something down the line for that.
Haven't we got Survivor Series coming up, Fish?
Yeah. After Clash, I think it's next
week. Go. Perfect. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. That's a perfect spot for that, surely.
Maybe, although most of it will be SmackDown versus Raw stuff, you would have imagined, wouldn't you?
Most of the time, but I think the odd one like that would be
I hope it's not that this year. I hope they do feuds contained within the shows as Survivor Series matches, which they used to do all the time. And I can see, I mean, I've heard people speculating about speculating about it. It's a bit off topic, but maybe they do War Games because that's a Triple H NXT thing.
Can you say it properly?
War Games. There you go.
There it is. I mean, our man Regal's not there anymore, but still love that impression that Fisher does.
We don't need Regal when we've got Fisher.
Well, yeah, who needs Regal when you?
But yeah, Keeney, any more thoughts on that Ronda thing that I said? Anything to add on that, or?
Yeah, I guess I did. I haven't forgotten about Ronda, but I didn't really think about her when it came to this. But I think you're right. I mean, maybe, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I guess it's how big a reign they want to give Liv, and maybe you just bring Shayna and Ronda and they have a feud, but then they're both heels. I think it's more likely they team up to take down
I
Liv.
actually think that as well.
Could you not bring Ronda in here to put her in the match, and it becomes a triple threat, and this is how you get Liv to win because she pinned Shayna, not Ronda.
Potentially.
Because
I thought Charlotte
get a
might
big
get added,
star
if
coming
anybody.
to the UK again.
One thing I did think as well, going off Keeney's point of them teaming, we got the announcement later on the show of the women's tag tournament coming back. And I just thought having Shayna and Ronda as a tag team in a tag division, you keep the title on Liv, you bring Ronda back and they team that. I mean, they're not going to win the tournament, obviously, but if a babyface team wins it, for example, which I think they probably will, maybe it could be Dakota and Io. Actually, it probably will be Dakota and Io. But anyway, you could have potential to make the tag division something if you had Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler in it. That could be a real statement.
Definitely.
So that's something you could consider down the line as well with that storyline.
I'm really excited that they're bringing that back.
Yeah, well, let's go into that tag tournament because we got a first match on Raw we'll get into, but the brackets itself, I mean, all of the teams have kind of been together a bit. Like even Dana Brooke and Tamina have kind of been together a bit on 24/7 stuff. But I guess the one surprising names in there was Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark. Now, what did you guys make of those two being teamed up? Knowing that they're not really a team on NXT.
I think they're just bringing people that they believe could do well on the main roster, like a bit of a trial, like they did with Ciampa and
I don't understand why it wasn't
years
Toxic
ago.
Attraction, though. I don't understand that. That would have made more sense.
Yeah, I agree. No, I didn't even think of that, but it definitely would. It's
especially
strange.
as they lost their titles on the last week's NXT.
Yeah,
to Katana and Kaden, it would have made sense to have them as a. If you're going to give the trials to any team, they would make sense.
Unless you get some twist here, it could be quite cool if you have them come out and Toxic Attraction beat them up and stop them coming, because that would straight away put them over. But
it could also build into a storyline on NXT from that, if you wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Well, again, without jumping into NXT too much, Nikita and Zoe Stark both mentioned this tag tournament, which is something new because quite often NXT and main roster are quite separate. And if this was in Vince's era, he would have called them up. You'd have noticed him again. They'd have been gone from NXT.
They'd changed their gimmick. They'd have put a helmet on him and made him a bondage person like he did Karrion Kross. Do you know what I mean? That's what would happen.
You just ruined it there, Fish.
No, but I'm saying he changes gimmicks, he changes names, he changes music. He'd change everything. Whereas I don't think that's going to happen now, is it?
Yeah, but regardless of any gimmick changes, you wouldn't
have had
it
being the third.
Yeah,
third brand.
You wouldn't have had Zoe and Nikita discuss it on NXT.
No, but I think now you've got Shawn Michaels running NXT and Triple H running Raw. Yeah. They're going to be on the same page.
Back to the third brand, isn't it? That's what it is. That time where we had that amazing Survivor Series with the 3 brands.
Yeah, I do wonder whether
that's the best one.
That's something Trips could think about here. If he wants to get NXT,
he'd make NXT go undefeated. Wouldn't he? It'd be like NXT's beating everyone.
Well,
like Roman Reigns versus
that almost happened, didn't it?
Roman Reigns versus Tony D'Angelo. I think we know who's winning.
Tony D.
That was a little bit of a segue from SmackDown.
That was a massive segue. If sticking to the wit, did anyone else have anything to say on the women's tag tournament?
Well, only when we actually get to the matches on Raw itself. But let's move back to SmackDown.
Thank you, Fisher. Thanks. So yeah, speak. Sorry, just looking at Fisher, his little Casper the Ghost camera made me laugh.
What I really enjoyed on this show was the Sami Zayn stuff. trying to sort of
Oh,
grab
we've really
Roman's attention.
segued now. I was sticking with the women, but no, we can go to
All
Sami
right.
Zayn.
It was just next to my
We're all
brother.
over the
You
place
go
here,
ahead,
boys.
Fisher. Fisher's disappearing. I don't know what's happening. Yeah, let's go back to the women then quickly. I
Yeah,
just
go
wanted
on.
to go.
Sorry, my
into-
camera is dodgy on this computer. It really
That's
is.
okay. It's great. It's giving me some entertainment. If you're on the podcast, Fisher's flicking in and out, and he's got a really blurry camera.
Yeah, go on,
But-
women.
Due to a malfunction, we're ever professional here. This was unavoidable. So Liv Morgan comes out and starts her explanation of why she should still be champion even though she tapped. I didn't like that anyway. I'd have rathered a little bit more, not arrogance, because that's more of a heel trait, but at least confidence. If I deserved it, I won. It is what it is. Then this shows how bad that decision was to have Liv tap out at the same time as before Ronda had her shoulders down for the 3 count, because the crowd have flipped. Within a week, she's gone from being probably one of the most over women in terms of timescale. She was so over so quickly. She's completely flipped that around now. She was getting booed. She was getting "you tapped out" chants. It shows how bad that decision was.
I agree with you,
her.
and I'm just hoping that this is a one-off and people forget about that one match, because this was kind of soon after. I'm hoping that flips back around, but it was weird to get like Ronda chants, people chanting Ronda. I didn't expect that.
They were booing Ronda 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's very strange.
I know
This
we
crowd, I
discussed
did
this
think were a little
SummerSlam
bit
pod,
weird
but
anyway, but
you could have had Ronda smash Liv in the face with a chair, or something. Or something like that, just to get away from the fact of someone pinning her. Terrible decision.
Yeah, I mean, I will defend the decision. I actually think I still say it was the right call to do what they did. I'm very surprised of how the crowd reacted. I did not see this reaction
Well, I know me and
coming.
Fisher felt differently to you, so
Yeah, so I'm.
do you not think it damages her?
I
then?
will defend the decision. I think it does, but I think like I mentioned on the whatever the pay-per-view was, SummerSlam pod, that I think that she had to like 4 arm bars previously, so her tapping eventually is, I mean, who has ever had 4 arm bars from
I'd have
Rousey and not
rather
tapped?
cheated. It's just
No.
on a second defense. You just can't. I just don't think you can do that. It's too early.
Yeah, but in terms of this crowd, I don't know whether, and again, maybe Fisher has a bigger insight, but I don't know whether this is just a one-off, like random crowd, or whether this is the general consensus to Liv Morgan now.
well, that's what I mean. I think we have to wait and see what happens, because I thought this crowd was a little bit weird on this show in general at times. So I think we'll have to wait and see a little bit. Like if it carries on, then it's proven that was
She
the wrong
looked
decision.
very hurt. She didn't. She
wasn't expect.
She
wasn't
did not
expecting.
expect that. She looked angry actually, and I think
Yeah.
she's probably annoyed at the decision they made. They didn't let her win, which is a bit of an insult on your second defense, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen people like tweet about it from within WWE, which suggests to me that Liv was a bit upset about it. I wasn't expecting
They
it.
were, and you could tell she was thrown, and even Kayla Braxton next to her looked pretty annoyed.
I think it was Kayla I might have seen tweet about it actually.
Yeah, it's like,
Saying, I can't remember exactly what she said.
Kayla had a face of like, what's going on? She looked angry. It was a weird one. I don't think anyone in WWE was expecting that reaction, whether that's Triple H or Liv or Kayla. Like, no one in that instance expected what happened, and I didn't. I was well confused. But
Big Trips needs to employ me, doesn't he? Because
Yeah.
he's had a fucking mare there. hasn't
I
he?
put
He's
it
had an
down
absolute
to-
nightmare.
I put it down to a dodgy crowd. I didn't put it down to everyone hates Liv.
The thing
Morgan.
is, now it's happened. I think it's going to snowball.
Potentially these things do happen. Yeah,
I think
it
if she'd have
could.
beaten Ronda, or Ronda would have smashed her in the face with a chair or something like that, which led to a suspension, then you've solved it. And I don't think she's going to be hated. But yeah, I felt bad for Liv because I really want her to do well, which is why I'm so annoyed with this decision. But yeah, I thought that was quite important to talk about, and
Yeah,
probably one of the bits I didn't like on the show,
Yeah,
mainly
well,
because I felt sorry for her.
I think even so, though, even if you don't agree with the decision, should you be booing Liv Morgan? Like, is she the one who deserves the boos? Like, I just think it's a bit of misplaced anger from the crowd to be booing Liv Morgan.
That's the only way they can let people know, though, that they don't like a booking decision, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, I don't think Liv Morgan deserves it.
She doesn't deserve it, but like,
no, she doesn't deserve it.
People get booed all the time based on booking.
Well, it's like Roman when he used to do 4 Superman punches. Used to boo the hell out of him. So it wasn't his fault, but
yeah, guess right.
Anyway, Fisher, would you like to move us on to your man Sami Zayn?
Yeah, so I was just saying that I really enjoyed the Sami Zayn stuff throughout this show, and I don't know where it's going to go, but because Sami's not like facing Roman for the title again. They already did that match and kind of just in a throwaway thing, didn't they? But I do think we could get like he's interacting with the Usos a lot, so I think him going up against the Usos eventually makes a lot of sense with somebody, which obviously you'd expect to be Kevin Owens, but we'll get to Kevin Owens when we talk about Raw, because he was presented not at all like a babyface that's going to turn anytime soon. So I don't know, but I really like him keep going back, Usos kind of manipulating and shout. What I really liked was Jey Uso getting annoyed and like shouting at him like Roman used to shout at Jey Uso, because Roman used to do that, didn't he? When he was kind of taking Jey under his wing, and then he used to get annoyed with him and shout at him and lose it. And we saw Jey Dan do that to Sami here, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. I just really like what they did on this show with that. It was finally boiling over. The Usos have kind of like humoured him and just got pretended that he's part of the gang. But here, it was finally like, look, you are not in the bloodline. And an invisible man, John Cena, is saying this.
I
You can't see me.
It's weird to hear your voice.
Sorry, I'm not even moving and I'm disappearing. Like, I'm not even moving.
Right.
So
Good analysis, though, Casper.
Yeah, no, I think you got a good point. I mean, I don't think you have to go to Kevin Owens as his partner. I think that's almost too obvious. Even again, I like to say Kevin Owens is exactly set up to be a Sami Zayn partner. I think I honestly don't know who. You do, but I think there's another option to Sami Zayn's partner. Maybe someone from NXT. I mean, they're all or someone who's been released recently. They're all coming back.
It depends if you want them to actually beat the Usos and have a run, though. So I think Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn having a tag title run together would be awesome. But
well, it depends who his partner is, doesn't it?
They could come up with someone great that makes sense, but at the moment, there's not really anyone in that position, is there?
No, but I think we're more likely into a tag team feud. I mean, even if we just get a singles feud, Sami Zayn v Jey Uso could be pretty good, like for a TV feud, because the story has been really good. And
yeah, I like the story.
And I think Jey Uso's playing his part. He started to play his part really well this week, in particular, but in general. So I think we're heading somewhere, but I don't think we're heading anywhere near Roman Reigns in that one.
No, because I just don't see them doing that again. I think that ship sailed like months ago when they set him up as a number one contender and then just had him get squashed, didn't they? Basically. Well, Brock beat him up, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you remember it was when he was trying to be friends with Brock, and then Brock beat him up, and then Roman Reigns just like beat him in seconds, basically. And Sami Zayn beating Roman's not really a believable option at this point. So that's why a tag feud makes more sense. But per se, I just don't know who. I assumed Kevin Owens, but when we get to Raw, we'll talk about Kevin Owens. But yeah, and they're on separate shows at the moment. I know that doesn't mean anything, but
it doesn't. So before we get to the main event, and I think the thing we all want to talk about, let's just quickly cover off the Intercontinental title picture, because Nakamura beat Ludwig Kaiser. This is something that Vince would have done. Like, we always look at the changes, but this is a continuation of what's been going on for a while. And Nakamura has beat Ludwig Kaiser. And I think the match is actually this Friday, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I mean, do you think we're going to get a clean one, or do you think we're going to get something funny happening then a match at Clash? Or, I mean, the IC belt's not been on a pay-per-view since last Mania, but
I think Nakamura is going to get absolutely destroyed savagely, and then I think we're going to get a surprise comeback to face Gunther at Clash.
Any predictions?
I've got a prediction. But mine's just slightly different. I do think we're going to get a comeback here, but I think we're going to get Rick Boogs is going to return here.
Okay. Rick
Okay.
versus Gunther clash.
I saw some stuff. I haven't heard about him being close to being cleared, but I think I saw a video of him like working out and stuff recently. And I mean, he's been out for it was WrestleMania he got injured at, wasn't it? It was literally at WrestleMania. So he's been out for a little while. I reckon he could be due back, and I think you could set up Nakamura maybe having another match. I don't know whether they do it at Clash. I want to see that match at Clash. I know we saw it live on the tour, but it wasn't the same. I want to see. I think
right there.
The IC title deserves
you have some
more
interference, so Boogs comes back to be his support at the side.
I think maybe we get, like for some reason Kaiser helps Gunther, even though Gunther doesn't need help,
and then gets slapped.
And then Gunther gets Gunther like takes out Nakamura, goes to slap Thingy, and then maybe Boogs comes down, or I could see something like that happening. I don't know about time frame. Like I say, he might be out a lot longer. I'm not sure, but it would make, if anyone's going to help Nakamura, it makes sense to be him.
Yeah, that's a decent pred. So should we go on to the main event? I mean, did
anyone else have this as their top mark? This whole segment, this next segment we're about to go on to.
I didn't know.
I didn't have it as my top mark. But
do you have another top mark?
I haven't actually thought about mine yet.
Probably.
But
I think I was just going through and I was like, I think this segment was my top mark of the week.
Yeah. Well, go on then, Cross. Take it away, Mr.
I
don't have to take it away, but
go on.
Oh,
I'm guessing we don't want to talk about the other match that happened on this show.
Well, I think we will mention one thing then. That Eric and Kofi had a little match, didn't they?
Ended in a roll up.
Literally not. But
that could have been a skid.
I think we've all wasted our time by even mentioning that. Honestly,
I'm sorry.
I think it's so unimportant.
It's only because
Fisher sometimes wants to mention every single section, so I thought
I think we should mention. I think matches we should mention. It's just normally because they're worth mentioning. That one wasn't really.
Oh.
No. Anyway, I'm sorry. Krusty, you about to flow over top mark? I'm
going straight in with my top mark. So
got a big talk about it.
At this point, I'd thought the SmackDown was okay. It had been a bit flat compared to Raw. I was a little bit like, okay, but got the bloodline in the ring. Made me laugh by saying they hate Brock Lesnar because he tried to kill the wise man. I thought that was a hilarious line, and they did. Fair play to Paul Heyman.
I like how Paul Heyman's not there either, like selling the injury. So it'd been stupid, wouldn't it, if he was with him?
Oh yeah, he's got to have 3 weeks off or something like that, or come back next week all neck braced up or something.
Yeah, it made it sound like he wasn't coming back for quite a long time.
Yeah, in a wheelchair.
He's basically like, there's no more. I don't know if he's having some time off, or it might be because he's doing more work behind the scenes now. Just there, that they're keeping him off TV for a bit. But yeah, I reckon he'll be gone for a little while.
Yeah.
And we have our big man Drew come out and interrupt them all with some fire little lines, calling him the tribal queef.
That made me laugh. I know it's immature, but that made me laugh.
We like a bit of immaturity, but in the 14+ era coming through here, enjoying that. And I was thinking, this is okay. And then, holy shit, my socks got blown off. I was not expecting this. Suddenly the music hit, and I don't know how, but I twigged straight away. I knew exactly who it was.
As soon as the
because that entrance is iconic, isn't it?
Down, and then Scarlett is just stood on the stage in darkness, and bang, out of nowhere, Karrion Kross just annihilates Drew.
Karrion Kross.
Wow, what a return. And Triple H is obviously big on him. I mean, for the NXT days, Vince absolutely ruined him, which was a shame.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the presentation level difference is amazing. I
was so excited. I was as excited here as I was when Bayley and Dakota Kai, etc., came out at SummerSlam. And I didn't think I was going to have a high like that for a while. This was a buzz. I was so excited. Just the presentation, go into the ring, TikTok, flipping the hourglass.
The hourglass is a brilliant thing. And
I'm so excited now that he's back with Scarlett. But yeah, what did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I probably wasn't as excited as you. I don't think it was quite up to Bayley and Io Sky levels and Dakota Kai, but I was extremely surprised. I was not. If you'd have given me a list of people who had been released, he would have been at the bottom of my list who I thought they would have brought back. So I was completely shocked. But with the entrance, with Scarlett, it is a whole different character to what we saw called up before. It is light years apart. I don't know whether Karrion Kross can hang with the likes of Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. I have that doubt. I don't know if he's good enough.
I understand your concerns there, because in ring, I don't think he's as exciting in this. I don't think he's bad.
I think it's the character and the out of ring work that's gonna, and the mystery that's gonna build here.
Yeah, but do you want him as the Universal Champion or in Universal title?
But I don't
matches?
think he needs to be.
No.
To add to it.
Yeah, I think if you're Karrion Kross, a bit like The Fiend in a weird way, that I just think you keep them away from the title. I just think you have him in personal feuds. You have him as like a hitman, just taking people out with the TikTok and threatening people and ambushing people, and Scarlett being weird, crazy character. And the other thought I had was like, but what does this do for Clash? Because we've got Drew and Roman.
The only thing I can think is you don't want Drew beating Roman clean. They don't want Roman to lose, especially if WrestleMania is potentially booked as The Rock versus Roman. He has to be as strong as he is now. How do you do that? You throw somebody else in. You want a skeptical, don't you?
I think bringing Kross back to take a pin like that though would be, I don't know.
Off a Claymore though, it's off a Claymore and a spear or something like that. You can't knock him, can you?
Or you could have Roman pin Drew.
I don't think we're going to get a triple threat, to be honest with you. I think we get the one-on-one match. I think we set up Drew versus Kross for after Clash. So that's what I think. Whether he's champion or not, I don't know.
Does this change your views on whether Drew comes out of Clash as champion?
Well, it did make me think about it, because I thought, well, are they going to have Drew win and then feud with Kross for the title? It's possible they do. Are they going to have Roman win and then do Drew v Kross non-title?
Well, I think I got the impression that it was they were looking at Kross and Roman, because Scarlett put the hourglass.
They did tease that,
and it was like TikTok to Roman, your time's running out. So they've clearly made their intentions, clear that they want to go for Roman. And Drew seemed to just be a
Theory. What's Theory doing in this?
Well, I was going to get to Theory because he hasn't appeared on TV much the last couple of weeks. But I was going to get to that when we talk about Raw. But yeah, it's an odd one, that one. There's a lot going on in the title sphere. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
I think it excites me a little bit, though, because although I'm excited for Drew versus Roman because it's a Clash at the Castle and it is a big deal for Drew, it's not my ideal title feud. It's not.
But yours is Roman v Seth. We know that.
That's probably mine at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah. But I mean, just in general, I really want Drew to go and win at Clash. But I think if I wasn't going to see it live, I wouldn't be as invested. You see what I mean? I think throwing a curveball in like Karrion Kross just makes it more interesting as well.
It's definitely interesting. Like, we go into SmackDown tomorrow night. I've got no idea what the hell's going to happen. I've got no idea whether Kross is going to attack someone. And at the moment, we're in a period right now. We had this with AEW a while back when they were bringing back Danielson and Cole and signing all these people left, right. It's just every week there's like some massive signing. We're at a period right now where I feel like anyone can turn up at any point on any Raw or SmackDown. It's just like, I just can't predict stuff. Like, we'll get to Raw again. There was another random appearance there that I just could not ever see happening. And I just think at the moment predicting anything is mad in WWE because it is all so changing. Good, though, there's so many moving parts, and I think we're in a very exciting period. Like we mentioned with the top title, I think Triple H has to find a way to split the belts up and make there be two champions.
Absolutely.
Maybe Karrion Kross is part of that.
Yeah, and you know what? If Karrion Kross is one of the champs and moves over to Raw, and again, I think we need a proper draft, and I think there's a lot that needs to happen still, but it's early days still. But
you could also have Kross lose the belt to Theory quite easily and not be as damaging. One scene I would like is if you have Scarlett put the hourglass in the ring, say TikTok, and then Theory just puts his briefcase next to it.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
as his own little thing.
I will know. I tell you what, haven't seen. This is the first time we've actually seen Scarlett on the main roster because Kross come up, on his own, and then completely changed him.
Yeah,
I will never understand why Vince McMahon, of all
that was
people,
the worst decision in the world,
didn't see anything in Scarlett
The only logic
I don't get
behind that was that he was doing that to punish Triple H for something, because he called up Cross whilst he was champion.
Yeah, had him
walk out with the belt with his rubbish entrance, with a weird helmet, without Scarlett, and got rolled up by Jeff Hardy in 3 minutes. That to me is just, well, there's your champion. That's what I think of him.
Scarlett was wrestling on in like trial matches and dark matches.
She's a very good wrestler. I think I've kind of said this before, but I've seen her wrestle quite a bit when I used to watch Impact. She is a decent, very good wrestler. She's very athletic, as you can probably imagine, but I mean, I don't think she needs to wrestle.
No, I don't think she needs to wrestle.
Just her presence makes the Karrion Kross. It makes
Cross much more interesting, far more interesting with her there.
Mm. Yeah, it definitely does. And I think right now, I kind of said a point a minute ago, and I kind of got sidetracked. So I think I sidetracked myself. But what my point was going to be,
that's what happens with WWE at the moment. It's like you're looking at one thing, then suddenly something else happens.
That's kind of my point. Is right now,
which is great.
All the titles, I think there's quite a few contenders for a lot of these titles. Like, how big has the US title been built up in the last 2 weeks since Triple H has been in charge? The women's tag titles, all of a sudden, there's quite a few teams they think actually they look all right, those teams. The Raw Women's Division, we'll get to that in a minute, but that is stacked. I know SmackDown's is not quite as stacked. The main titles got all sorts going on. There's just so much going on right now. There's so many moving parts, and yeah, I'm just so excited right now. Honestly, like, there was a period where I would like, oh yeah, okay, it's a bit of a chore to watch SmackDown, or Raw's 3 hours. That's a bit of a slog. I'll maybe take a break halfway through. Right now, I cannot wait for the next segment every time I watch Raw or SmackDown, because I'm so invested in almost everything that's going on. I think Triple H has done a clever job of removing some of the annoyances. 24/7 title is one, but there's a few of them, and he is just throwing in all this, like, who knows what's going to happen next. And we'll get to Raw in a minute, but he's also adding like little things which I think are going to be important later on that aren't important now. He's like planting seeds in
I like that
now.
On Raw. That's an NXT. That's what he used to do a lot in NXT.
Yeah, that is what I love. I love the fact that in a month's time something could happen, and then there'll be a video clip back to Raw from this Monday to say this is where it started, but you didn't, you didn't really clock onto it then. And yeah, so I just had just a random little side note of me loving WWE, but yeah, it's great at the moment. And I think that's it from SmackDown.
I was going to say, should we move on to Raw and talk about what happened there?
Yeah, let's move on to Raw. That's right, with Krusty's frozen.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Am I frozen?
No, you just didn't move for a while.
So,
if you froze.
What should we talk about first from Raw? I guess we'll talk about.
Well, we are, as listeners will know, we are Clash at the Castle enthusiasts, as people attending, and we got a big 6-woman tag announced Clash at the Castle, and
I was asking for this last week. I said I'd rather this than a title match.
This is maybe my top mark of the week, because this was the thing I reacted to the most. When they announced this match, I basically jumped out of my seat. I was so excited. I was like, God, this 6-woman tag match at Clash, I hope they make it like no DQ or something.
Yeah, I said last week they should have a street fight. Just have an all-out, like, crazy women's match. I think it'd be awesome. Yeah.
But we'll get to see. I mean, who would have thought when we bought the tickets, even, that we'd get to see Io Shirai or Io Sky involved with Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss and Asuka. I mean, these 6 women are 6 of the top women they have. Incredible. It is insane, and it's also how fresh is the 6-man tag. It's not, Sasha, Bailey, Naomi v Charlotte, Becky, and whoever. No. Like it's so fresh that it's amazing, and
exciting.
Yeah, I just can't wait for this match. And this 6-person feud is brilliant. Like, again, these are all 6 of these women you can imagine as the Raw Women's Champion. I think they've got 6 contenders here in this match.
Crucially as well, the tag team champions, which is what they're kind of building this feud around as well, because they're probably going to meet each other in that tag tournament. Let's face it.
Yeah, they. I'm sure they will, unless
they're on the same. What confused me is they're on the same half of the bracket.
It's
so I thought it'd be the final.
No, it's because they've got a Raw and a SmackDown half.
That's why.
So one half is SmackDown. SmackDown only
I
has
got
3
confused
teams.
because there's an NXT team on the SmackDown side.
Yeah,
I
they've
think
only
I
got
just
3
thought it was
teams
a
on
free-for-all.
SmackDown. Yeah. The right that one side is all Raw, one side is all SmackDown.
That does make sense then.
But I think there is a potential because again, Triple H, if we look back at all of his, and we saw a lot of tag team tournaments in NXT, quite often the brackets you'd think would be logical, you could work out, but there'd always be something that happened that you weren't expecting. And I wonder whether we're going to get Asuka and Alexa lose their quarterfinal match. I can't remember who they're against right now. Oh, Doudrop and Nikki. I reckon they might lose to Doudrop and Nikki.
That's this week, isn't it? That's this
because of an involvement by Bailey's group, and then that just heats up this feud more, rather than them clashing in a semi-final. That's my prediction.
Maybe I would actually prefer that because then it will be an even fresher match when we get to see it. One other thing that could happen in this tournament, and I don't know if it necessarily, I mean, it'd be what I would love to see is Sasha and Naomi come back and take someone's spot. I think that would be perfect. Although I can see them confront. I think what will happen is they'll confront the winners.
Yeah.
So I
agree.
I think something like Dakota and Io will win it. They'll
Is
celebrate,
the final
and then
clash?
Sasha and
Yeah, I guess it can't be a clash, can it?
I guess not with that match announced because I just don't see who else could be in the final other than one of those 2 teams.
Yeah.
There's a chance it could be a clash, and we get like a weird final, like
Yeah,
Raquel and Leah versus Nikki and Doudrop or something. But I just don't see that happening. I can't see it.
Yeah.
Imagine if the final becomes the 6.
Well, I did see someone suggest it could be an all or nothing match because you could have the title, like Bianca Belair's title on the line as well. So you could have like they win the tag titles and
all over in one go.
Or Bailey wins the belt and they win the belt. Like that would be an awesome match to do.
Right. I know. In Recharge Wrestling, we are huge fans of just factions holding all the belts, but I am all for Bailey, Io, and Dakota having all the belts straight away.
We love a bit of drapes.
Just throw it on them.
We love it
on them. As much as I love Belair and but I just think throw it on all 3 of them. Why not?
Yeah, I think that'll probably happen eventually, whether it's now or not. But yeah, I think it's definitely an option to go down. But yeah, really excited for that match, and they're just building this really, really nicely. And so in the ring here, we've got Bailey, and they open the show as well, which again makes them feel important. Not shoved in a mid card, just a backstage interview, like 2 minutes.
I will say,
the show.
Just in if I'm going to defend Vince McMahon here, towards the end of his run, he was pushing the women's division quite hard. It was main eventing most shows and appearing a few times per Raws. The Raw division. Yeah. Sorry,
yeah,
Raw
I remember
division.
saying that stat that Asuka had main evented like 6 times in the last 8 weeks or something.
Yeah,
it was happening a lot.
The women have been pushed a lot.
But it's cool to see. I never thought I'd see a group involving Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. That wouldn't have happened.
No.
There's no way that happens under Vince. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I found really cool here. So Bailey completely butchers Dakota's name, but then makes a joke out of it, saved herself brilliantly. Yeah. Played into a character a little bit, actually, in the end. And then we got a brawl, and that was when the match was made, and we could all celebrate, and then Bliss did a dive off a barricade as they pulled. And then they got pulled apart, didn't they? But yeah, love it.
And just FYI, Bliss without her Lily doll.
Yes, I did notice that as well. Another little subtle change.
Yeah, it's just a little thing has changed, but it's something we all wanted to see. We don't want to see it with a doll anymore, do we? So no,
especially if it doesn't mean anything. It's just there. Like,
it doesn't make sense in this feud.
I'd rather it do something than nothing, and I don't like it doing anything. So just get rid of the thing. But yeah, that was really cool. Then we got our first match of the night. If you want to go, should we move on to that?
Mm-hmm.
So Seth Rollins comes down to the ring, and we get a match against Angelo Dawkins.
Big Dork.
As usual with Seth, and recently, as usual with Dawkins, I got to put him over. Great match.
Definitely.
Both Street Profits having one-on-one matches with Seth in a row. Both of them hanging in there, like getting near falls, looking like they might win at points. I mean, there was one bit where Dawkins really looked like he could win this match, and it was really good. And yeah, obviously Seth's building up wins as well, which I do like because he's got a big pay-per-view match.
Finally,
especially they didn't do this enough in the Cody feud where he lost and lost and lost, and they didn't build it up in between. I don't mind him losing 3 times in a row if he wins matches on Raw. in between, because then it's not 3 defeats in a row. It's
Don't
three...
remind me of the 3 defeats in a row.
Yeah, sorry. But here, like, if he lost to Riddle now, I wouldn't complain, because he's at least been built to the point where, you know, and then that makes Riddle look even better.
Yeah.
So, you know, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But yeah, they're having bangers here. Dawkins, I've said it before, I think he's really underrated.
Dawkins has really stepped it. I think he sort of knew if he doesn't step it up, he's going. He's not going to last, is he?
I think they even mentioned it on commentary. I think this might have been Corey said Montez Ford gets all the praise, and I think Angelo Dawkins has taken that personally, and that probably is a true line. That might not be a kayfabe line.
That might have been him. He's put some muscle on. He's looking good in ring. He's trying more. He's doing far more moves.
Died some things to the outside that he wasn't doing before.
Yeah, 100%.
That was always Montez, and he was doing the power and also the slower stuff. But now he's moving like a cruiserweight and also doing the power spots. And I think he's not as charismatic as Montez. I think Montez will always have that over him. But in terms of in ring, I think they're both great. I think they're both really good.
It's a very good tag team, isn't it? But also awesome spots from Seth hitting a pedigree. We haven't seen that in a long time.
And I joke to you guys, Triple H wins. No one's kicking out of that. Triple H is in charge. Before pedigree, he never won with a pedigree. He used it, but he never won.
I don't think anyone should kick out of a pedigree. It's a savage move.
Yeah,
it is.
And it is weird when it's
kicks out of the RKO. Really, do they? When Riddle hits it, same with pedigree. No one should kick out. And then he hit the stomp.
Yep.
Afterwards, after the match as well, just completely savage Dawkins.
And
he's
we're
such a good character.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say we are hearing from Riddle this week on Raw.
I love this little impression of Riddle, by the way. Proper Heyman impression, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh man, I mean,
what's he going to say? Cool, dude, and stuff like. That was great from Seth. It reminded them of us when we do that stuff.
Do we think we're getting Riddle and Seth at Clash? Yeah, is that just
that was apparently why the match was cancelled at SummerSlam? So yeah, I think so. And I can't wait to see that live in person. Oh my god,
incredible!
I don't want to be too near Krusty. I might get whacked in the face with something.
I can't even deny it. I'll bring a pillow.
You Fisher, Fez, if you're too close to Krusty, you could even be taken out on a stretcher like old Ezekiel was after his match with Kevin Owens. We mentioned Kevin Owens briefly earlier, but Kevin Owens absolutely
destroyed Kevin Owens. I love.
This is it. When I saw Zeke come out, I actually thought to myself, he is not lasting this match. I think I even mentioned it to you guys because I was watching after you'd watched, and I was like, he's not going to last. Why is he still here? I mean, I like.
Do you think they're changing his character? That's the stuff to come out of this, isn't it? Do you think they're going to bring back Elias?
I mean,
we said it ages ago. I think it was you, Keeney, that even said it. This character doesn't have longevity, does it?
No.
But there is no character here.
I was bored 2 months ago.
It was funny.
I'm definitely bored now.
It's
I liked the stuff. I think Kevin Owens made it work, but without that, and KO's clearly moving on to something else, right? Apparently, because I was reading before this Raw that the reason he's not been on TV is because Triple H is cooking up big plans for Kevin Owens because he loves, Kevin Owens is one of his guys.
Yeah.
And the fact he come out and did prize fighter Kevin Owens style, come out and just absolutely destroyed him, and then left, and then did an interview later on which ruled as well. This is the Kevin Owens I love to see. I love this version of Kevin Owens. I mean, put the belt on him. Why not?
There's a queue for belts at the moment.
I would love to see Seth be champion. I'd love to see Drew be champion. I'd love to see KO be champion. And then when Cody comes back, I want to see Cody win that belt. So there's a lot of guys, and there's others as well.
Well, you wait till Orton comes back as well. It's going to be a clamber for Orton, how over he was before he was injured.
Oh man,
that is a very good point.
You also got Riddle.
Yeah.
Yep, and who knows?
Ciampa.
I mean, should we get on? I know there's a bit more in between, but I think the biggest part of the whole show really was this Ciampa Lashley US title match, which got some build, by the way. And again,
I want to top mark this.
This, I'll probably agree with you, Fish. This is how you build a title match, isn't it?
Yeah, I love, again, last 2 weeks, video packages about the US title. You had a Ciampa promo You had him wearing a Harley race robe. I was convinced he was going to win, by the way, when I saw that.
Yeah, I was
like, he's bloody winning.
Yeah,
Triple H has gone all in here. The fact that Miz was, I don't know, it felt like a big time match. I was a bit annoyed it wasn't the main event. I thought something huge had to be happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, it came off the back of it. It made that AJ Styles match. So they had to do that. But I was convinced. I mean, we'll get to it when we talk about the main event. I assumed something massive was going to happen in the main event. And we'll talk about what I thought it was going to be. But this match still, though, it was a great match as well. Ciampa giving a great... I mean, he doesn't need to give a great account of himself to Triple H. Triple H knows what he's all about. Lashley's been on a tear for a long time now. They just had a proper, brutal fight in the ring. And I think keeping the title on Lashley is the right decision. I know we want to see Ciampa get pushed more, and he is. He's been presented great, but I don't think it was the right time. I think Lashley having that title is perfect, and I want him to keep it to Survivor Series so we get Lashley v. Gunther, hopefully.
Definitely, whilst we don't have a main champion on Raw, I think we need to have someone. And I think, I mean, it's a big ask for Ciampa to basically hold the top singles belt on Raw right now. Maybe I'm sure he could actually. I'm sure I'll probably give him a. But I think Lashley is right now.
I think we're setting up another storyline for Ciampa anyway. We'll get to it, but I think we're setting something up with it. Yeah.
Probably, but I mean, should we go on to the main event because that's what this led on to?
Well, yeah, it actually started with the Kevin Owens interview, didn't it? This whole mystery. So when Kevin Owens was being interviewed, there was a car crash in the background, and I wondered what the hell was going on. I was like, has someone legit crashed a car? But then I realised that Nikki ASH and Doudrop were stood there. I was like, okay, this is storyline. This is something going on the show. I didn't read too much into it.
So then, what do we know? What was that related to what happened later?
Yeah. So that happened. Then there was another segment. I can't remember who it is. Someone's talking backstage, and you see loads of people running. Security run past after somebody. You didn't see who it was, and I was like, something's going on with this car. And then after the main event, Dexter Lumis is arrested. So assuming he crashed a car, right? That's what we're led to believe.
I didn't necessarily link the two, but yeah, potentially.
No, yeah, I think that's definitely what it was.
I thought the car crash thing was something we find out about later on. I
still think there could be another twist to it. I don't know if it is necessarily going to be Dexter Lumis or why he was there, but what he was doing. Do you know what I mean? Why was he crashing a car into Raw?
Well, what was confusing about this wasn't a normal. And again, we'll talk about the main event match in a bit. I know we haven't spoken about it much, but this whole Dexter Lumis thing isn't how they normally do this kind of thing, because
I was confused if it was real or not.
I didn't know. I didn't even know Dexter Lumis until after.
Yeah, because I said to Keeney, "Oh, have you watched Raw? You haven't watched it yet." And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Dexter Lumis," and Keeney was like, "Is that who that was?"
Yeah, I just saw someone.
Rewind it. I saw someone
attacking someone, but like they didn't make a big deal about it. They called like. I think they might have said Dexter Lumis.
Corey Graves was like, was that Dexter Lumis? And that was it. That was literally all they said.
And then they went back to AJ Styles in the ring to celebrate for a bit longer. Then that was it. And like, because he was celebrating after the match for about 2 minutes. And like usually when they prolong a celebration, it's because there's about to be an attack or something. But like, it was like a real like side bit. Oh boy, there's a thing down there, and we'll move on back to AJ Styles. And it was like, what was that? Like, it's almost like, was that meant to happen? That was, I think, the impression I got. And I wasn't even sure it's Dexter Lumis until you said I
only knew because I couldn't see from the camera angle could have been better.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have known if it wasn't for Corey Graves saying it. And then when I went online, it was like close-up video footage of Dexter being taken away and by police and handcuffed and all that. So I'm assuming it's got to be linked to the car crash. What is it? What else would he be arrested for? He's not going to get arrested for turning up at a wrestling show.
So check it out, crowd member.
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they're linked. But the answer was, why is he there? What was it him? What's he doing? You know, it's still intriguing. And I think we should get into, first of all, re-signing Dexter Lumis is an interesting one. But I think he had something different to the roster. I think he had...
Can I give a prediction?
Yeah, and it's probably going to be similar to mine.
I think they're doing is, we've mentioned we haven't seen Theory for a while. There's rumours of Gargano. We're hearing those rumours.
I thought he was coming back here, right? That's what
are we getting the Way 2.0?
I hope so.
On the main roster.
I think we might.
I'm trying to link. Why has Theory not been on TV for a few weeks? So Theory's been kept off TV for a reason. He's money in the bank. Whether whether Triple H believes in Theory or not, he wouldn't just leave his Money in the Bank holder off TV because he's been so involved for 6 months on every show. So they're leaving him off TV for a reason. Dexter Lumis is a weird person to bring back. Like, he isn't like, oh, we'll have to have Dexter Lumis. There has to be a reason for Dexter Lumis. There has to be, like, you know, he has to.
So he isn't bringing him back to have a match with, like, Roman Reigns, is it?
Dexter Lumis, AJ Styles is not the end goal here.
No. I know what is. I hope I know what the end goal is. If we get that clash, it won't just. I mean, it'll be double. It'll be double-sided. It's
What's the?
If we get Johnny Gargano versus AJ Styles, and like, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen, mate.
Be incredible.
That would be insane.
Because I thought.
Is he big enough though for the casual fan? That is my worry. I know I said this. I don't think the UK, my own hat.
I don't think the UK audience is a casual fan audience, though.
What?
Are you on about for Clash?
I think you make a point, Fisher. I think the Clash audience, considering how long we've had to wait, I think basically it's going to be.
You think it's going to be full of marks?
90% fanatics. Yeah, I think it's going to be people like us.
I think it will be. I don't think you.
In which case, I can't wait. Let's do it.
Not a pay per view. You do it the family shows where you take your families and your kids and go see WWE. But at a pay per view where it's £200
the cost
ticket,
of it as well.
I think this is us. This is going to be full of people like us. I think
NXT.
And
I'm disappearing there.
So I'll say why I was confused. So I was confused why Lashley and Ciampa didn't main event the show. Then obviously, so we didn't mention it, but AJ Styles interfered, didn't he, in that match and attacked the Miz. They brawled through the crowd, set up a no DQ match between AJ Styles and Miz main event. Which, by the way, was another good match.
It was a really good match. God, Fish has gone.
Fish has disappeared.
So yeah, that match was really good. But I was convinced Johnny Gargano. We mentioned last week, Raw was in Cleveland, Ohio, which is where Johnny Gargano is from and lives. I was convinced he was going to come out at the end. Convinced by it because the storyline involves Ciampa. It is in his hometown. And then we got Dexter Lumis as well. I was just like, surely Johnny's got to come out. And then I was so confused when he didn't. I was almost disappointed. But I think I'd worked myself into
a frenzy.
Because, yeah, they never told us he was coming, but I just assumed. But Dexter Lumis makes me think it's definitely happening. It's just a matter of time. I think Johnny will be ready to come back. I think Candice might even be ready to come back. And key thing, you mentioned Austin Theory, Keely. I think Indy Hartwell needs a call up.
Then that gives them.
He is doing nothing on NXT. Exactly. It's another one.
Candice and Indy. It's a tag
Indy
team.
Hartwell is doing absolutely nothing on NXT without them. And reuniting Dexter and Indy could be a cool storyline. You can have Gargano somehow involved with Ciampa. You can still have Theory as Mr. Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
I think you could make the way on the main roster interesting. And then you could eventually as well reunite DIY as a tag team on the main roster, which could be great.
I mean, there's so much you can do. You could have, because before on NXT, Theory was the subservient to Gargano, but the way Theory's character's been, it wouldn't make sense for him to be subservient to Gargano.
Maybe they won't do the way because it doesn't actually, Theory doesn't fit in it.
I think they can, but I think it'll be a different dynamic. I think Theory will potentially, if not the main guy, he'll be level with Gargano, and there'll be either like, there'll be some tension down the line, and we might get that match as a feud down the line when maybe Gargano turns face. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff they could do here.
I think with Dexter coming back, there's definitely more going on. And it's a weird one with Dexter because I'd heard a couple of days before that he did an interview saying he was still in talks. He still texts Shawn Michaels and Triple H like nearly daily, and I was like, that's a bit odd. Like he said that in an interview not long before. And he also did an appearance. Do you remember where's that show where Johnny Gargano? It was like in the same place as an AEW show, and people thought he was going to show up. Do you remember? It was a few weeks ago, and Johnny Gargano was at some public appearance. Dexter Lumis was there with Johnny Gargano then, so they're appearing in public together. I think there's definitely
so it's going down.
And if Dexter Lumis is stalking AJ Styles because Johnny Gargano is going to come after AJ Styles, then I'm all in for that. Like
that is great.
That's a dream match.
You had no idea why he was there, but that makes complete sense.
Yeah, I think we're getting away. And so, just a quick question: this time last week, if we'd have said Karrion Kross and Dexter Lumis would have appeared on the main roster, we'd have said, "What the hell's going on?" So my question is, who's going to appear this week? This time next week, are we going to be seeing No Way Jose challenge?
No Way Jose.
Challenge Lashley or something. What are we going to see next week? I've got no idea. Like it's open season.
I don't know. Are they going to carry on? Are they going to blow their load in one?
I
think 1 month?
I think Dexter Lumis means we're going to get Johnny, Candice, Indy. I think potentially those three. I mean, who else
is that Triple H loves that's not under contract elsewhere? That's the thing. Or not necessarily that Triple H loves, but could bring back. I think there's one more big person that could maybe come back, and obviously Sasha and Naomi.
Also, where does LA Knight fit in here?
Well, he wasn't involved this week, was he? There was no
I think there's a possibility we see Bray Wyatt again now as well. I do think there's
big rumours, cryptic messages online.
Yeah, he posted a thing. Did you see his Twitter thing the other day?
Yeah.
He spoke so much stuff. He started with wrestling's not a love story, which is Cody said wrestling is a love story when he came back to WWE. So that's like starting a feud with Cody almost. But he also said something about like honor is elite and things like that in it, like talking about Ring of Honor and he quoted loads of wrestlers in it. The rumor was he was done with wrestling, but I don't think he is. I think apparently Vince used to like criticize his body and take the piss out of him and stuff. Now Vince is gone. I think if Triple H was interested, he'd come back. Whether Triple H is that bothered by him, because he's not a Triple H wrestler necessarily. But then Triple H, we always think of Triple H as like, he loves work rate guys like Gargano and Cole. Karrion Kross and Dexter Lumis aren't work rate guys, are they?
No.
They're completely different. So you never know. Like, you might love Bray Wyatt.
Well, and also we've been saying for a long time how thin the rosters were. They needed padding out a bit.
Yeah.
And so bringing back a Dexter Lumis.
I said it a while back, quite controversially, but it seems to be happening. Triple H is going to get rid of these big, massive stars on ridiculous paychecks like Brock, Goldberg. He's going to shed them. And for those two people, you can have 10 ex-NXT stars who are going to give you more, who are going to be on the roster more, and will build eventual stars, rather than all these 50-year-old men who can't do that and don't want to do that for £6 million a year or something stupid. I mean, it's happening. He's doing it, and he's making it entertaining. I don't know if Dax Fisher's got the more recent statistics on viewers, but is it still as high as like the initial Raw?
Yeah, I can't remember what this week's Raw was, but I think it's still up from what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
this is good.
I mean, right now I could watch it twice. I'm that into it.
Exciting times.
I might get two TVs on the go. I might buy a second TV so I can watch it twice at the same time.
Shall we move on to other stuff that happened on the show?
Go on, Fish.
Because I want to talk about the stuff with obviously Judgment Day, the Mysterios and Edge, because I think that's another storyline that's heating up and is really good, and I think we could get a fire match at Clash for it as well. I love the presentation of Rhea Ripley in all of this. I think she's being booked. She's not in the women's division. She's beating up men. That's
it's so sick.
It's like China in the women's division before.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, we haven't had that. Like, Dom was dead. Like, she completely destroyed him. I don't know it's only Dominic Mysterio, but still, he's not a little kid anymore, is he? He's a man. So, and I love. I actually liked the promo as well, where you got Edge coming in backstage, apologizing to Ray. Ray completely understood, accidents happen, and but Dom wasn't having it. And I actually thought Dom showed some character here, which he hasn't done enough. And I was impressed a bit more with him here. He looked genuinely like, no, I'm not having this. So yeah, I think we're going to get Edge, and I know Priest challenge, because we got Priest challenge Edge to a match in Toronto in 2 weeks, didn't we?
Yeah.
Edge hasn't wrestled. Obviously, Edge is from Toronto, so he hasn't wrestled in there on Raw for, I think it's the 12 years, was it? Something like that. Since his first retirement. I think we're going to get this lead into a tag match of some sort, whether it's a 2-on-2, a 3-on-3, a mixed gender thing. I'm not sure, but Kenny, you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, we can't hear you, mate. You pulled your mic out or something.
I saw you go to speak, and I just did not hear you at all then. So,
Can you hear me?
yeah,
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I obviously don't know what I did.
We've got no camera, no microphone. What's
Yeah,
next?
it's absolute.
I'm just going to leave the podcast.
Train wreck. I think. Do you think we could get Rhea Ripley? I think I said this actually before. Might be repeating ourselves a bit, but Rhea Ripley in a 6-person tag with Dominic, Ray, and Edge, the Rhea, Finn, and Priest.
See, I think the better option is to leave Dom out of the match because he doesn't want to side with Edge, right? So you either do a 2-on-2 and you do Edge and Ray versus Priest and Balor.
That's what I think.
With Rhea at the side. That's what I think will happen. Or you do Finn, Priest, and Rhea versus Edge, Ray, and Beth Phoenix. That's, I think, your 2 options. I don't think that Dom should be in the match. I think he should be torn. You don't know whether he's going to side with the Judgment Day. He should be like injured because Rhea's taken him out. And then you think he's going to come back and side with Ray, but he turns on Ray. Or we all think that, and the swerve is he actually teams up with Ray and Edge. But I think he should be left out of the match.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way to go, personally. And I think it'd be a better match, in all honesty.
Yeah, can't argue with that. What else was there from Raw?
We got a random Chad Gable Dolph Ziggler match.
This was a proper wrestling match.
It was like old school amateur style.
Yeah.
I love this kind of wrestling, but the crowd was dead for it, which was a shame. And it was in Ziggler's hometown of Cleveland. I know he doesn't live there anymore. Him and The Miz, both from Cleveland, Ohio, both live in Hollywood, I think. But yeah, so you don't think of his hometown boys. But
Fisher's got all the news on people's location.
Well, they mentioned it on
Actually,
commentary
Miz
as well.
lives in Texas, I think.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, it might be in kayfabe that he lives because he's Hollywood Miz, isn't he?
Gets
He's
a
like
lot more for his
movie
money.
star. But yeah, he doesn't live in Cleveland, Ohio. I know that anyway. But Ziggler, yeah. So Ziggler was a little bit over here, but not as much as you'd hope. But yeah, the crowd was dead. But I loved the match. But the thing I was confused about here, we talked about Theory. Theory was feuding with Ziggler. Has that just been completely dropped?
That's been squashed, yeah.
Because
I mean,
I was expecting Theory to come out here. That's why I was baffled. But you could have been onto something, Keeney, with the Lumis thing. Maybe Lumis has kidnapped Theory again. That happened in NXT, didn't it?
Yeah, I actually think I think Triple H is for. I'm just dropping this Theory Ziggler stuff because I don't know where that was going at all.
But then it's also strange that Ziggler's wrestling on TV and picking up wins. Everything seems to mean something at the moment, unless he's just putting Ziggler on TV because he's there and thought, why not have a win in his hometown? Maybe. But I do feel like they're building Ziggler a little bit. He was in the United States triple threat last week. He didn't win, obviously. So,
yeah, I mean, I think this match did seem a bit random, and nothing seemed to come from this match.
No, but that's what makes me think maybe there is a purpose to it, and we just don't know what it is yet. And it could still be to do with Theory. It may not have been completely dropped, but it's odd. I haven't heard anything about why Theory's not on TV, so I'm assuming it's storyline. He's not. I don't think he's injured or anything. So, I mean, how is he going to get injured carrying a briefcase around? That's all he's been doing, hasn't he? So
he did get destroyed at SummerSlam.
That's a good point.
The only thing we haven't mentioned was I know we did talk about it briefly, but didn't talk about the match. Was Dakota and Io beat Dana Brooke and Tamina to advance?
And they gave the babyface team way more than I expected here. This is another one. When this match was booked, I thought this is going a minute most. Dana Brooke will tag in, and they'll do a moonsault and win. Tamina and Dana actually dominated most of this match, which I thought may have been a little bit too much actually. But obviously, I loved the double finisher by Dakota and Io. It's the first time we got to see them as a tag team. So Dakota's go to kick in the corner with the moonsault after is a really cool combo. That works really well. So that's something to look out for.
I absolutely loved that spot.
Yeah, it was cool, wasn't it?
Absolutely loved it. This team's going to be amazing.
I can't wait to see them in the 6-woman tag. And if we get them versus Sasha and Naomi eventually as well.
They just work so well together. Considering they haven't tagged before, just mad good, isn't it? They could have taken the easy option and put Raquel and Dakota together, but they didn't. This is just awesome. Can't wait. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite things at WWE.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
was there anything else that happened on Raw, or are we ready to move on to NXT? Oh, Omos beat two beat guys up, didn't they?
Yeah,
didn't he? He was back. He hadn't been on
I'm
TV.
surprised
Really,
he was on
since
there.
Triple H.
Really surprised he was there, to be honest.
Yeah, they're just keeping him doing something. It was against jobbers, so I don't mind that. Feel a bit bad for it. I feel bad for MVP in all of this, honestly, because the Hurt Business and the stuff with Lashley was so good and he was so brilliant. I just feel like he's got one arm tied behind his back managing Omos because I just don't see it going anywhere. And MVP's great. I'd like to see him manage someone else, to be honest. But then Omos will be completely dead in the water without him. So maybe they've got to keep him with him for now.
Yeah,
I just think Omos
so.
is one of those guys. We talk about who's going to sort of get a push under Triple H, you know, these NXT guys and Ciampa and people like that. Omos, I think, is going to be one of those guys 100% that loses out in the long run here. Whereas Vince probably would have kept him around and pushed him.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I don't think that's a bad
thing
because I'm not, you know, I'm not.
We're not a huge fan. He's done his part, hasn't he? So
yeah.
All right, should we move on to NXT?
Well, if that is the end of Raw and SmackDown, I am going to leave NXT in the capable hands of Fisher and Keeney. Thanks for listening to me, and I will see you all next week. Enjoy the rest of the pod.
We will do.
See you, Krusty.
See you guys.
See you later, mate. Right.
Yeah, down to two.
Yeah,
there was two. So what did we get on NXT? We kicked off.
Yeah.
With Nikita Lyons. Kiana James was the first match, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Not very much on this one, but obviously we did get a bit of interaction, like I mentioned previously, between Nikita and Zoe mentioning.
Yeah, this just felt forced a bit, didn't it? Really.
Yeah, I mean the team. I don't get them to be in a team because there's nothing.
If you're going to call up an NXT team, Toxic Extraction right there. Right.
Well, you could have also had Toxic win the belts and call up Katana and Casey.
That was, I mean, I suggested ages ago they get called up to main roster because I think it's overdue.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced by. I mean, I'm not massive on either Nikita or Zoe Stark personally. I don't think either of them are that great.
I think I like Zoe's in-ring stuff. I don't think there's a lot of character there, and I think Nikita, she has the right look and this, like she's over in that sense, but she's quite green still in the ring. And there was she did a move in the corner that didn't look particularly great. It was like a cannonball thing, and it looked a bit sloppy in this match. Kiana James, I actually think, is not bad, by the way.
Yeah, no, she is good. Yeah, she is really good, actually.
I've been randomly a bit impressed with her, actually. And she hits with a handbag afterwards. I think that was a bit random. But yeah, the match was okay. I liked the finisher and the pin from Nikita. I really like that she does. The spinning kick, and I like the pinfall she does. But other than that, in ring, she doesn't really do much for me so far. But I get that she's still improving. You know, we said this about Cora Jade at one point, and I think now she's coming to her own in the ring.
Yeah,
so,
she has. Definitely has.
We might as well talk about that because it kind of segues on from Zoe Stark as well.
It does. The main event, Zoe Stark and Cora Jade, which was, I think, kind of what you'd expect with Mandy on comms, with Zoe and Mandy being lined up for Heatwave. So I think it's next week or a week after. I know it's coming up soon. And then we also got Roxanne come down and confront Cora. So we've got two fairly decent women's matches there. I'm more into Cora and Roxanne.
Yeah, I am too. 100%.
Zoe and
just a blood feud rather than just a random title match.
Yeah, and I actually think Mandy Rose has probably done all she can on NXT now. I think maybe it's time for her to drop the belts.
With the NXT, because now Toxic Attraction dropped the NXT tag titles, I honestly think it was the perfect time to call them up because that tournament was right there. You could have slotted them into that tournament. You could have brought them in, or without Mandy maybe to start with. You just have them in this tournament. They have a couple of matches in this tournament, and then when Mandy drops the title, she comes in and helps them at some point on Raw as a surprise call up. Yeah. So I'm not sure why they haven't bothered doing that. I mean, I agree with you. I think Mandy has done all she can, and she has mentioned recently that she would like to wrestle more on SmackDown again. So I think it's time now.
Well, maybe with the storyline as it is, there is a potential for Toxic Attraction to take out them two, like you
Because
said.
they had a weird
place.
video package on this show.
Yes, and they like rock music, and they Led Zeppelin.
It felt like a reintroduction to them that we didn't necessarily need, but maybe they're going in a different direction. I'm not sure, but it was a bit weird. But so afterwards after the main event, we got a pretty cool move from Zoe Stark on Mandy, lifted the belt up. It was standard stuff. It was all right. I thought this main event was good, but I do think Cora Jade has improved a lot, and she's wrestling as a heel actually suits her quite a lot.
Yep.
She did a sliced bread. She did a hammerlock DDT. Things I haven't seen much of her from her before. I thought she was pretty good in this match, and I like her presentation now more as well. I think.
Oh, so much better.
Her promos are way better as a heel, I think.
Yeah, it's the best thing to have ever happened to her. I think.
At first, I was like confused. It's like Cora Jade is a heel, but actually, she's got kind of like Paige vibes, hasn't she? Yeah,
she does, and I think her look is.
It's like kind of a Paige AJ Lee crossover, isn't it?
Yeah,
so she is really
essentially, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that because they were two great performers, a few years ago when they were around.
Yeah, exactly. So I might as well just tick off the whole women's division here whilst we're on the women's division. We had Ariana Grace defeating
Thea Hale on her debut.
Thea Hale on her debut.
This is a match I didn't care about.
Got called into Chase U's office because she hit her in the eye with a ball or something. I don't know. It's all silly. I mean, Thea Hale plays her role really well, but it's all just a bit silly, isn't it? All this stuff.
Yeah, and this match was set up because Thea Hale gave her a black eye, was it? And then she kind of got revenge here, Ariana Grace.
Yeah.
It's just, I just didn't care really about this one. This was, the other two women's matches had sort of a purpose on this show. This was just there.
It was
okay, whatever. I like the finisher from Ariana Grace, actually, the waistland. Wade Barrett popped for it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was good. We had another Wendy Chu,
I quite like
Tiffany Stratton.
Wendy Chu was just like savage here.
Yeah, this feud's been going on for a long time, hasn't it? This one,
maybe a little bit too long.
For like mid card, and I want to see more from Tiffany Stratton. I want to see her involved higher up the card in the women's division. But yeah, we got that.
I think it's just at the moment they've got like Cora Jade just turned heel, and you've got Mandy Rose on top of the division to heel, and I don't think they know what to do with her, so they're just kind of dragging it out a little bit. I think you'll see her go up the card. Maybe Mandy going up. She could be replaced Mandy as that kind of heel at the top of the division. I think that would work. I think maybe that's what they're waiting for.
Yeah. Probably right. Also,
what else did we get?
Skip down the page. We got a.
I've just realised what we've got.
Go on.
Our favourite. It's the next thing on the thing as well. The rounds match.
Oh yeah, this was a bit of a mess. If I want to say,
I did not like this.
Why did they wear boxing gloves?
Well, because Trick Williams thinks he's Muhammad Ali, doesn't he? Basically, and he's the whole thing's been about him being a boxer because he hit him with a glove, didn't he? Before,
yeah.
And then they did the promo last week. I was worried about this match because I don't like these rounds matches anyway. And then when they made it sound like it's boxing, I thought they were going to do no wrestling this match. I thought it was literally box, and the crowd were not into this, particularly when they were just boxing.
I don't think rounds matches work on weekly TV. I just think for the product WWE is, I just don't think they work. They're too long for one to have that constantly. For me, I just don't think they work. But I wonder what I got from this was, I wonder whether we're going to start seeing either the end of NXT UK or just NXT UK and NXT UK to just merge, because they've put the NXT UK tag belts on NXT stars, and now they're doing rounds matches on NXT. It just feels like NXT UK, all of the things for NXT UK are slowly moving over, and we've seen a lot of people move across.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're up to date on NXT UK, but certain superstars might be moving over soon as well, at least to NXT on the main roster.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly. So there is a lot of movement. I just think we're maybe seeing the end of NXT UK, or we're seeing a merge. We're getting.
It does kind of feel like that a little bit. That belts thing was a very strange. I still don't really understand why they did it, to be honest. The tag belts.
Yeah.
I don't really get why. I mean, obviously, I get stars moving over. I think Jordan Devlin was inevitable. I think Ilya Dragunov coming over is inevitable. Like, these guys can't stay in NXT UK forever. Pete Dunne, the same.
I mean, Nathan Fraser. They've had
A-Kid as well.
Pretty Deadly A-Kid. They've had a lot
Recently. They've had a lot.
Recently.
I am shocked, actually. They haven't done more with women from there.
Yeah, I know.
They haven't really. That's the one thing they haven't done. Obviously, Kaylee Ray did, and Doudrop actually. So that is two.
Yeah, but I mean,
Micah Satamura surely will at some point.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And Blair Davenport.
Yeah, surely her. Yeah.
So I think you've got those two that will, but yeah, it's interesting actually. So you make a good point about it. I'm not sure where it's going.
I just thought, why is this match like? Again, to me, there's nothing in the build-up to this feud that made the rounds match seem to make sense. Really, it just
no. And we've been scarred by this before, haven't we? Rounds matches.
I mean, they're not great. I've seen maybe one good one ever. They're really hard to get right, I think.
Yeah, I remember Tyler Bate having one that was watchable, but Tyler Bate is great.
Yeah, he's
Wesley's really good. Don't get me wrong, he did some good stuff in this match, but I just did not like. The thing is, as well, like, it was basically a 2 out of 3 falls match, but with boxing gloves and timers. Just do a 2 out of 3 falls match if you want to do that.
That's exactly the point in it. And the thing is, as well, I've watched every NXT episode essentially since it started, and so I've seen a lot of NXT. I've seen a lot of these matches. I don't know if I've ever seen one go 2-0. I think they always go 1-1. Then there's a decider. I don't think I've ever seen, like, there's no variation to the matches, and it's almost always the person who gets the first fall loses 2-1.
Yeah,
almost always. It's so predictable. These matches.
It is.
So formulaic.
I just didn't enjoy this match. I thought it was a waste of time. I get the purpose of the feud to get Wesley to beat Trick to go to Carmelo. That's what I think they're heading, right? And Wesley v Carmelo would be a great match. But I didn't like the way they did it at all. I thought it was nonsense, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Carmelo. He got challenged by Giovanni Vinci for the North American title at Heatwave, which is interesting. And also, like, interesting from Vinci, he basically did what Fraser did to him last week, where he played Fraser's music and then he appeared in the ring.
Yeah, I like that. I like that bit. And I really like Giovanni Vinci. I don't think he's winning the title like that.
I don't think he's either, but I think it'll be a bloody good match. That will be some match.
It'll be a really good match.
Hayes, they're both phenomenal in ring, aren't they? So that will be brilliant, I think. There's actually quite a lot on the show that happens. I'm just looking through and there's so many bits.
Well, I think the other stuff that was interesting was the Diamond Mine stuff with Apollo Crews. I thought that was quite interesting. So you had Diamond Mine watching back their tag match with Apollo, which they did last week as well. Apollo giving them advice, just being nice to them. Roddy comes in, and Apollo basically tells them to watch their 8-man tag from a couple of weeks ago, where Roddy did something. I can't remember exactly what he'd done in that match, but he did something a bit weird, didn't he? To, like, not help them, basically. Yeah,
I think he gave, like, a knuckle duster to one of the D'Angelo family or something. Or
and then they watched that. They're about to watch exactly what happened, and then Roddy comes back in later, and it kind of. I think we're leading to the end of Diamond Mine with Roddy now.
Although we did get Apollo and Roddy on this show, which seems like a pretty decent match for an NXT 2.0.
It was just kind of in the middle of nowhere, wasn't it?
You usually have all these developmental stars trying to get. These are two, like, established stars
for NXT
going at it. Standards. Very good match.
It was a really good match, yeah.
And I think actually Apollo Crews, he's had no direction so far. I think him leading Diamond Mine in kicking Roddy out would be quite a cool direction for him.
Yeah.
So I'm all for that.
I am too, actually. I don't really see what Roddy does from here. I have no idea what his future is. Obviously, he did request this release. It wasn't granted. That was a while back. Whether
I wonder if he's changed his mind.
He might have changed his mind, but he might not have. Are WWE ever going to grant that release after this storyline's wrapped up?
I would say Triple H is more likely to than Vince was grant his release.
Then again, though, he's also more likely to want to stay under Triple H.
Yeah.
Because Triple H might call him up to main roster, generally be like, you can be Intercontinental Champion or you can be United States Champion. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. So you know, it really depends on the direction and the plans. Because I mean, Io Shirai is a prime example of that. She was on her way out. It looked like in NXT when Vince, you know, he wasn't interested in her on the main roster apparently. And then Triple H was like, "No, I want you on the main roster." So come on, same could happen with everybody, but we'll see. But yeah, there was a good match, wasn't it, between the two, as you'd expect, really. And Apollo won completely clean as well, which is, I think, the right option.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah, 100%. We got a bit more from Escobar and D'Angelo.
Yes,
again,
this was really interesting because Escobar asked for one more match, and he said he'll leave NXT if he loses, which I think he will.
Yeah, I think Escobar.
I'm ready for main roster
on his own or with Legado.
I think all of them should go up. I think the tag team division could do with a team like Legado del Fantasma.
And I also think, I think they've built the story well enough here that I think you could legitimately call up Santos and the tag team. I remember Raul Mendoza's new name, but Mendoza and Wilds.
Cruz Del Toro.
And you could leave Elektra Lopez in NXT because she has actually been helping D'Angelo.
That's a good point.
I reckon that is because I don't think Elektra Lopez is ready for main roster. In my opinion, I don't think she's ready.
It depends on if they're going to use her as a wrestler or just like a spare part.
Maybe really. I personally I'd keep Elektra Lopez down and I'd call up the other three. And I think storyline wise that would make sense.
They could definitely make it make sense because she has been legitimately helping him.
End of the match, Santos loses, he walks out, and then the two guys go with him, and then Elektra Lopez decides to stay with Tony. I think that's all.
That's a good shout.
That is what could happen. But yeah, I agree with you. I think Escobar.
So I wouldn't be worried under Triple H, but Escobar on his own on the main roster might not be quite as good as calling them up as a faction. And I think the tag division could do with Legado, especially their baby faces now, really. So you call them up as baby faces and do Legado's versus the Usos.
Yeah, I mean, there's
you could even do Escobar and Reigns in that. Like you could, I mean, he would never win, but imagine that as like a 6-man feud on SmackDown. Like that would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Yeah,
I think I think the time's come for Escobar to move up. I think he's brilliant.
Yeah, he is.
And I think there's a great storyline you can do with Ray as well, which I've done on my universe mode. I think you've done the same thing.
Yeah,
there's obviously stuff you can do there. So if you put him on Raw, you can do that. I think there's so much you can do with him.
Yeah, I agree. And there wasn't much else, actually. I've just gone through, so I think we've covered most of it. There was the Inofi and Blade tag team match.
Yeah. The only other thing was
deadly.
The continuation of the Cameron Grimes storyline where he was talking to Solo Sikoa and he was like, I don't know, he seemed really down, and he was like, that's good for you. He was basically like, good for you, Solo, when he said he wanted to go for the North American title. And then Joe Gacy approached him as he was leaving and tried to sort of imply that he still, wants him to join. And Cameron Grimes ignored him for now. I don't know where that's story. I don't want him in that group. I think me and Krusty kind of discussed it last week, and we said we'd think he'd be better off not being in that group, but I don't know where it's going.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see Cameron Grimes called up personally. I think I said this before. I think he said everything he can on NXT. I don't know what else is left for him, so I would call him up personally. I don't know who works in Joe Gacy's group. To be honest with you, I think it's
that was my kind of argument for it. Was like I don't want to see him called up because I don't like what they've done with Grizzled Young Veterans so far at all.
Yeah,
I mean we haven't seen them wrestle yet. They're still going to be good in the ring, but I don't like the characters they've got compared to what they were before. When they were, it was Liverpool's number one, soon to be.
Yeah,
Zach Gibson was great, and he still is great, but he's not Zach Gibson anymore, is he? He's Rip Fowler, and he's
Rip Fowler.
He looks really weird.
Yeah,
and he barely says anything. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of it at all. The direction from them so far.
Nah, I agree. Is there anything else from NXT we should mention?
No, I've literally not got any other notes there.
No, that's cool. But that's essentially for this week. So as I mentioned at the top of the pod, Fisher will be back with an AEW review, reviewing 3 shows: Rampage, Dynamite, and Battle for the Belts, which was last Saturday.
Yep.
So check out that. You can check that out and this on our YouTube channel by searching Recharge Wrestling on YouTube. A lot of content on there, and as if you've listened this far, you'll know we've been talking about Clash at the Castle a lot. That's because we'll be going, and there will be a lot of content from us at Clash at the Castle.
Yeah.
And
feel free to let us know if you're going.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know. We are more than happy to. We're always happy to chat to people about wrestling, but we've already arranged to meet up with a few people at Clash because we're just eager to meet like-minded people. So yeah, we're always up for that. So if you're going, if you're just interested in chatting, then get in touch. You can do that on Twitter as well by searching for us at Recharge Wrestle is our handle. We will be doing a predictions when we get closer to Clash at the Castle, so do get involved in that as well when we get there. But I think that's probably it for us, this WWE review. So we are going to go away and recharge, and we will see you the same time next week.
Goodbye.